Your first wrestling name, just doing a little bit of wiki research quickly, was Sterling after Sterling Sharp. How was he
Sterling
your
Sharp.
favorite? How was he your favorite football player as a Steelers fan?
That's a great question. I think because I was most of the kids my age would wake up every morning before school and just watch Sports Center so that we could have something to talk to our friends about. And Sterling Sharp was a walking highlight, man. Every day he was on, and I love the Steelers, but actually the first Steelers game I ever went to was a preseason game when the Packers were in town.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have considered myself a Packers fan really, but yeah, Sterling Sharp was my guy. And then again, the James Keenan I stole from Maynard James Keenan from Tool. There's a pattern here.
Yeah.
It's not originality. I just find bands that I like and I just borrow heavily.
Yep. Nah, I love it. All right. So you were there from the transition from FCW to NXT. Can you talk to us what that was like for you, for everyone involved in that transition?
To the best of my knowledge, it was very exciting, but it was also very uncertain. FCW versus NXT, it was two completely different systems, basically different worlds. FCW, we were sort of the redheaded stepchildren on this island down in Tampa, hoping that maybe one of us someday would make a couple bucks. No one was making much money. I think we were all making $500-600 a week, which was standard at the time, but not exactly a comfortable living. And you'd train 5 days a week, and you do these live events in front of 10, 20, 30 people 4 or 5 nights a week. I remember getting there and having a conversation with Seth Rollins, who I had known from the independents at the time. And I was like, dude, is this WWE? Like, my paycheck says WWE on it, but this doesn't feel anything like WWE. You know, I grew up watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm in England every few weeks wrestling in front of 3,000-4,000 people. And now there's 26 people for our TV tapings. It was absolutely not glamorous. So I think the goal when making the NXT changeover was to really overhaul the entire system. And I know that was sort of Paul's baby at the time. Triple H's baby was developmental, and he wanted to give us the best tools in the world to succeed. And boy, did we ever. And there were certain holdovers. Obviously, we still had Dusty Rhodes. We still had a lot of the same familiar faces from FCW coaching wise. So there was a level of comfort. And I know that a lot of us were just blown away by the facility, the performance center. The first time you step foot, wait a minute, we have a kitchen. We're not at FCW. We had a microwave, and you'd have about 8 guys standing around in a semicircle waiting to heat up their food. And just seeing the performance center and what it became. And then there was such an influx of talent where we saw a lot more of our friends from the independents coming in. Whereas FCW, there were a handful of us who were the quote unquote indie guys. But there were a lot of outsiders. And then NXT came, and it was like, okay, everyone who we felt should be here was starting to get an opportunity. Not everybody stuck, but it was really cool to see all these different faces that were familiar and guys you knew wanted it and wanted to be there and cared about the business.